Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. The watchman upon the city wall. And if I am a Christian, I am the least of all. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born.
Yeah. Wow, that helps us keep the cold out a little bit, doesn't it? Right. We've just sung a wonderful hymn there, and we sung a wonderful one before about Bethlehem. He was born in Bethlehem. I just want to give you some facts. Here, this is written way before he was born. He would be born in Bethlehem. That was written 733 years before Christ was born. It was written that he would be born specifically in Bethlehem. 690 years before Christ was born, he would be born of a virgin. That was written 690 years before he was born. It came to fruition when he was alive. 430 years before he was born, Jesus would be worshipped and given gifts at his birth. That was written 430 years before he was born. 605 years written before Jesus was born. Jesus would be from the line of David, King David. They've actually found King David's tomb. Stunning evidence. 1420 years before Christ was born, Jesus would be the Passover lamb, the sacrificial lamb. 690 years before Christ was born, the mighty God, in Hebrew, El Gibor, would come. 605 years before Christ was born, the Messiah would be both God and man. 700 years before Christ was born, it was written, Jesus' ministry would be preceded by a voice calling in the desert. 780 years before Christ was born, he would defeat death. It was written about him. 733 years before Christ was born, it was written that he would be born in Bethlehem, as I said. 710 years before Christ was born, he will come and save you. It was written about him. 520 years before Christ was born, he would be presented to Jerusalem riding on a donkey. That was written about him 720 years before he was born. 520 years before he was born. Jesus would be betrayed by 30 pieces of silver. 420 years before Christ was born, Jesus' hands and feet would be pierced. 1420 years before Jesus was born, it was written, not a bone of the lamb would be broken. 430 years before Christ was born, Jesus would be given vinegar for his thirst. 410 years before Christ was born, he would suffer agony on Calvary. 410 years before Christ was born, it was written lots would be cast for Jesus' clothes. And 530 years before Christ was born, it says he would be killed. And he was at AD 33, after the first temple was destroyed and before destruction of the second temple that would be destroyed. And that was destroyed in AD 70. That was written by Daniel 530 years before Christ was born. It told of his death. Those are just some of the prophecies that were written about him hundreds of years before Christ was born. Right back, it says that he would be born of the seed of a woman, and it says there in Genesis 3:15 that he was not born of the seed of man. Take note of that. He was born of the seed of woman, but not born of the seed of man. There's a reason for that. So I've written out these things. Now, this Christmas, we all love presents. I love to receive presents. I love to give presents. I love to share things. So this Christmas, ask yourself as you go home and you celebrate with your children, is it Father Christmas or is it Jesus Christ? Remember the cross? There were two thieves on the cross. One accepted Jesus and said, Jesus, remember me when you enter your kingdom. And he said, today you will be with me in paradise. Not next week, not next year, not if it happens 10 years later. Today you will be with me in paradise. The other thief ignored him, never said a word, and he was separated from God. Which thief are you going to be? Which lawless person? I'm a lawless person that's been saved, not because I'm good, but because he is good. Which thief will you be? Now, Jesus said, I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. And the bread that I will give for the life of this world is my flesh. These are Jesus' words, not mine. Jesus said, not me, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Maybe this Christmas, you think you will gain all you ever wanted. Maybe you're getting excited to think that this Christmas you shall have everything you want. But what about your soul? What time will you give your soul this Christmas? If you turn to God, I guarantee that the creator of this whole universe, imagine that, he will turn to you. Thanks for listening.